Hello, hello, hello.
Hello there, Alyssa. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Ed?
Doing excellent.
I was like trying to prep the tweet. So you want to like make your best Twitter face? Is that your best Twitter face? Okay, we're
That's
going.
that's as good as I can do right there.
So
Very
welcome.
skeptical.
I think we were traveling and there were things going on and happening and blah blah as always. So it's been a little bit, but welcome back to JavaScript Girl in a .NET World. I'm Alyssa Nicoll, and with me today I have Ed Charbeneau to not that direction, which most of you know him. I called you Blazer Boy the other day. So, um,
Mr.
but I
Boy.
know basically everything there is to know about .NET. So it's not. I don't think
See,
there's anything
I
off limits.
called Sam Maui Man. You're gonna give me the boy connotation.
It's like in
That
SpongeBob
hurts.
with the superheroes, and it's like Maui Man and Blazer Boy. I just want you both in bikinis now for this shot, so it's perfect. Hey, chat, how are you? Let's see who's here. Today we are covering .NET Conf. I don't know if you know this, but it recently happened. It was a thing, and hey, Jim is there. Hey, Silicon Orchid, and Layla will be joining us soon. And I'll be a hoot and holler. We always seem to get massively off topic whenever it's me and Layla on stream, and poor Ed has to put up with it. So now, Ed, you weren't at .NET Conf. I didn't go as well in person, right? Like neither.
Physically,
What?
no.
Okay.
No, I
What but it
wasn't.
wasn't I think you were telling me because I was watching sessions online, but I don't know if was there an in-person presence? Do you know?
There was some. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so there were some folks in studio. It was mostly Microsoft folks that were in. I'm trying to think where they shot. Some of it was probably Channel 9 Studios. And then they had
So
a bigger
for someone
stage, which I
such as myself who's new to the .NET, and like I think you've mentioned it and Sarah's mentioned it, but and I don't know, maybe chat you know about this, but I don't really like is Channel 9 something that everybody's supposed to know about? Because like I don't know about it. Like what
yes.
But, like, is this just, like, a famous studio? And I don't what why is
It's quite famous, yes. So there
okay.
if you go to channel 9
Ooh.
msdn.com, see if it redirects. Now it is Microsoft Learn, so I probably should start addressing it as
Oh,
such.
okay, so this was something that, Fritz had mentioned to me, and he was like, "Oh, have you tried looking on Learn?" And I, like, pulled it up, and I was trying to understand, like, is it a different version of their docs, or is it just, like I was a little confused, with what Learn is. Silicon said Bill
Yeah.
Gates built it in his previous career as a bricklayer. I don't know. Is he being sarcastic?
So um I should probably put you on my main monitor so I quit looking off camera too. Um so back in the day, uh, this is recent history, by the way, because Microsoft Learn is fairly new, but for the last probably, I don't know how many years, I want to say nearly 20, Channel 9 has been um, on its own. It was Microsoft Learn basically. So it was the go-to place for any video content that was Microsoft.NET development related. So they
Okay.
have their own
Like,
studio
but
on
it's only
campus.
for like Microsoft people to upload to, or is it like a YouTube that
It's
anybody can?
been through different phases in its life where
Oh.
most of the content for all time has been from Microsoft people only, and from
Mm.
the folks at the Channel 9 studios, and they would have guests on. Starting to
Ah.
lose some history here. I'm trying to remember the names of the original cast of that show. Um, I can't remember his last
He-
name off the top of my head here, but Seth. Seth was the big driver of a lot of those shows, and he
Is
did a
this
lot of
it? Let me
content
share
there.
everything. Screen share. I'm just going to share everything and it's going to look higgledy-piggledy for a minute. Is this it? Or no? Wait.
That's where it's
Channel-
moved.
Okay.
That's the post about it moving. But it used to be
That's
Channel 9 was the website.
Well, because when I was like
It-
searching, I see this like channel9.msdn.com thing. But then
was
that
the,
reroutes to
old
this.
URL.
I gotcha. Okay. So does
was
that
quite
mean,
popular,
in
though.
fact, that doesn't mean like, does that mean that Channel 9 is gone? Like, and it's just Microsoft Learn now?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
And it's, what is it? Learn dot, what is it? .com, not con. I think. Did I just epically fail? No, this is it. Yeah, this is what Fritz told me. He was like, have you been on Learn? And I was like trying to do something, and I think it might have been Maui. And I don't know, when I was I heard a pop. I heard a piggledy pop. Oh, hello, darling. I'm gonna redo the screenshot so that we're all three in it. Can we all make our best Twitter faces? I only got one eyeball for Ed's last Twitter face. So, all right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, our Twitter faces are so close. Layla, hi.
Hello. How are you all?
Oh my goodness, it's good to see your face.
Hi,
And your hair.
Ed.
Have you
Hey,
been on
Layla,
stream
how are
since-
you?
Oh yeah, you've been on stream since you changed. I think.
Since I changed.
For sure.
Since you
You
changed.
changed it up a bit.
Changed.
Hey Aztec, good to see you.
Hello. Yes, I've been on stream. I think I've been on your stream. I think. Yeah. I who knows? It all blurs into one thing now. Nothing is different. Everything is just one big blur. I was just saying that I thought we were going to be talking about .NET Conf stuff, and I was like, I can't even remember what happened at .NET Conf. It was like 2-3 weeks ago. I can't cope. So .NET stuff happened.
Brunettes have more code. Okay.
Here we go. So
I think the next time you go blonde, Layla, like let me know and we can do it together.
I don't know if there will be a next time because my poor hair.
It's like it's like telling you absolutely not. It's like no.
It was crispy critters. That's it. It was like trying to vacuum my house. It was like some shaggy like creature, like is it cryptid type thing had been walking through the house because like my vacuum cleaner was wrapped up with hair. There was just hair everywhere. It was
funny.
Yeah, my hairbrush, it was like pulling chunks out. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Aztec said he got a Lego Space Shuttle prize with his prize money from .NET Conf.
That's awesome. I was watching the history of Lego today. I've been watching.
Is this like a thing?
Busy day. Huh?
Yes, busy day. Go away, Ed. Go away. It was on my lunch break. I watch. So I've been watching the films that made us, and then more recently I've been watching the toys that made us. So what have we watched? We've watched Lego, Star Wars toys, Barbie, My Little Pony, Netflix, the toys that made us. So good. Hello Kitty.
There's a My Little Pony one. You just sold me on this show.
Yes. And there's some really interesting stuff. If you watch the Barbie one, I found that really interesting and really inspiring. So yeah, sorry Ed, I'm here to derail the show. It's like derail with Layla, off the rails with Layla.
We were already, because we were trying to talk about how .NET Conf was covered, like the coverage of it.
Oh yeah.
And that got, and it was like, I'm pretty sure it was like on Channel 9 or at Channel 9 Studios or something. And then that got us onto
No
what
more.
happened to channel 9 and what was channel 9, because like now it all redirects to learn. Do you
Yeah.
have any inside deets on this, Layla? 'Cause I'm so lost.
I did hear. I knew it was coming. It was quite inside deets. So I sort of heard that it was on its way out, and it was quite a big shakeup. I think that was quite a big shock. So I heard. But yeah, I guess it was maintaining two IP side by side. You know, if Google had YouTube and the tubes or something beside it, they're going to go with one of them rather than try and maintain two sort of peers. I don't know. So
no, it makes sense. Makes sense. I wanted to ask you guys if you had a favorite, and it's kind of like it can be .NET Conf related, because I know a lot of announcements or things happened around the same time as .NET Conf, and so I didn't know if you guys had one thing that stuck out to you as exciting for, I don't know, just .NET in general, can be related to the conference.
Well, it's actually what Ed shared with me on Friday, I think, or Saturday. The head component in Blazor, that's like made life so easy. I was actually really excited by this.
Wait a minute. The head component. This is the thing that allows you to like modify like
the head, like in a Blazor app. And I was just like, this is so cool. I mean,
what I just generated an app, like a Blazor app, brand new. Will it have that already in it, Ed? Or do you like add it yourself?
It's in .NET 6, so yeah, it was super easy.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
Yeah, it was very easy.
I'm gonna share. I'm gonna show you this window, the red one. Okay, like what file? I want to see it just to show what we're talking about.
Oh, okay. So you just go into like main. What are you building? Gingerbread house? Oh, this looks like fun.
Spoilers.
Spoilers everywhere.
Spoilers. Avert your eyes. I want the audience to look away. No, but like what? Like, main layout.
You can do main layout, or I did mine in the nav menu. And
it's not going to be here? I thought it would already be there.
No, you can add it. So just stick it at the top there. It's going to be head content with in angle brackets with a capital H and a capital C. So Pascal case. There it is.
Ed, is this your thing that's auto suggesting this, or is this just going to happen anyways?
It's header content, header outlet are they're not my thing, by the way. They are part of
I know.
Blazor.NET
No,
6.
your thing.
I did not build them.
Yeah. This one, where was it? The thing that was just showing on screen, Ed. You know what I'm talking about. I'm going to Command-Shift-T it and click on the thing. You told me to test it, so I'm wondering if it's your...
Are you going to do more spoilers now?
Oh. The Teller QF for Blazor template wizard is to help you build Blazor apps from Visual Studio Code. No, it is not that.
Okay, I'm with you. With you. So I have head content now, and I can just be like...
Link. You could put like a link in there or whatever you need. There you go. See?
Oh, okay. Respect. People, do I have to specify? Because people were asking about this project, and they were like, oh yeah, like, what are you guys going to be working with? And I was just like, Blazor. And Ed was like, Blazor with .NET 6. And I'm like, is this do I have to always specify? Isn't it obvious? Just like the latest, duh. Like, I don't know. You guys.
I don't. I just go Blazor because I might be on old versions, because half the time I don't update my demos. Well, I don't think to update my demos until I am testing my demos the day before I do a talk.
But you don't do it then, right?
Like that's not when do it like the day before.
Cool,
and then
cool. I mean, that's Ed was literally like, he was like, do not update. And I was like, are you sure? He was like, do not. And he was like, you're going to be live tomorrow. And I was like, I am. And he was like, don't do it, Alyssa.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Don't do it.
No,
don't do it.
Nobody know. I was looking. I did do it for one demo today that I'm giving on Saturday, but I was kind of rebuilding it because I didn't like the way the demo was. So I was like, all right, I'm going to update it from .NET 5 to .NET 6, and nothing has broken yet. So it seems okay, but I had to do a whole new thingy-mabobby on it.
That's so exciting, though. Nothing broke yet.
Yeah, we do have some kind of breaking changes in our library that I'm using for the thing I want to demo. So the latest version has a little bit of a hissy fit, so I can't use the latest version, which is kind of a bit like okay, but yeah. It will all work out.
So Ed, did you have anything that was big for you that you were like, this thing?
So pretty much the entire session that Steve Sanderson did was just phenomenal. So he showed, and it's going to be a lot of words, he showed how to compile MySQL to WebAssembly and then run MySQL on client-side Blazor in the browser, then cache an entire database client-side, and then query that database using MySQL with Entity Framework directly on the client. It was nuts. It was really nuts.
I'm trying to find it to share out. I think it's this one called New Blazor WebAssembly Capabilities in .NET 6 is the name of it?
Yes, I think that's it.
All right, I'm sharing that in the chats so you can check it out. Check that session out. That was a lot of words. Can you like dumb it down if you had to explain it to like my dog or something? Like
your dog. I don't know how good my dog translations are, but
okay. So here's the words I caught and / understood. I've heard of WebAssembly, and I know what Blazor is. MySQL is like API garbage, right? Like so. Then you kind of lost me. Okay.
MySQL is a SQL, an entire SQL application that runs generally on the server. Usually have a SQL server that is hosting MySQL, and it's an open source SQL database application. So what Steve did is ran it through a compiler called what is it called? Emscripten. And then that spit out a WebAssembly executable library that is MySQL running in the browser. So you linked that to the Blazor application as a resource, basically, and then created a database on the client machine, which is just bonkers.
Why? So what about .NET 6 allowed this to happen? Like, why couldn't it happen before? Do you know? Is it because of minimal APIs or?
No, they opened up native WebAssembly assembly linking in Blazor, so you can actually interop with anything that is built for WebAssembly. It doesn't matter what ecosystem it came from. So if it's an app that was written in C++, if it was written in Rust, if it was written in some other thing that can compile to WebAssembly, it's now a Blazor compatible library.
Oh, that's cool.
Not only do you have NuGet, but you have pretty much everything else that's out there that can be compiled to a WebAssembly app.
So
crazy stuff.
What's going through my head is if you have the database on the client, how do you keep all the versions consistent? Or have I just totally missed the point?
So the idea was to sync data for offline use. So you could log into the app and let it cache for a few minutes and then get on an airplane and still have your database. So a good example of this is, I won't name the company, but they were doing something like this, and they deal with a lot of logistical shipping of packages. You can imagine who this is. But they basically had a MySQL database running on every truck. And that database would then sync up as that truck parked at the main distribution center. So these portable MySQL databases with caching can be a really big feature for somebody that's got a lot of data that they want to have available on the fly.
So I guess it's more for read-only type stuff than actual grabbing stuff from it.
I mean, couldn't you write once you were connected
you could
again?
you could do some comparisons with the data and do a like replication and stuff that brings it back into the main database. That's the hard part. The handshake coming back if any edits were. Yeah, it's very eventual. I would say most of the time it's probably going to be used for like a read-only scenario, but in the scenario of the brown truck, what who that would be, you're probably scanning packages and letting people know if they've been delivered or not. And then I don't think they use this anymore, by the way, but yeah, they would go back to their distribution center, and this thing would replicate back to the main database and sync up, any records that had changed. This is third-hand knowledge, by the way, but I do know some people that used to work there, so it's interesting that they actually had one of these databases on every truck. Like they copied, probably the route that they were taking worth of data onto the truck, and they used MySQL on each truck.
That is so cool.
I've not really done much with MySQL. Is it lighter than SQL Server? Is that why you would use it? Or is it just because it's open source?
It's open source. It's more scalable on the smaller end of things, I think. So you could have a very small instance of MySQL running that's not going to have the requirements of a Windows server infrastructure behind it. So you could put it on like a Raspberry Pi, for example.
Okay.
You don't need like a full server blade in every vehicle that you're driving around.
I'm now imagining this and big arrays on the top for connecting to everything, and
I'm just imagining like half of the truck's storage space is server,
yeah, and the power supply to run it as well, the battery.
I forget plugging it.
Yeah, Silicon Orchid's right here. He's a lot of small apps that are on mobile phones have a MySQL database built into them, just because it's easy to query those things, and it's open source, and you can get a version of it. A lot of Linux apps have this. I'm trying to remember. I think it's called portable apps. And they're basically, you put them on a thumb drive, and you can run around with these pretty powerful apps and just plug it into a machine, and you have like a whole suite of apps on there that you can, execute on the fly without having to install things on the machine. And MySQL is generally one of those portable apps.
And then, so what's the difference then with SQLite?
I don't know too much about SQLite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got attacked.
Did?
Someone just came charging in and attacked me. That's all. Canine.
Napalm said that SQLite is a file system database.
Oh, okay.
They give it as a read write to a file with SQL.
Okay.
Flocking said it has to be above 50 miles an hour for cooling, like the server. No, that's funny.
Yeah, but
I was trying to
circle
find
back. It was a really cool demo by Steve.
Yes, check it out. I put it in the chat. The link. I think
you put it in our private chat.
Darn it! Flippity flip. All right,
it's good. Chat. It's better that you do that and have it safety tested by us.
Yeah, it was testing purposes.
That's what you did.
Me being, as my 2-year-old calls me, a goofer.
Oh,
he can't say goober. He says goofer. So
I understand.
That's the new insult.
Goofer more than a goober. What's a goober? Do I need some Americanisms now?
It's define goober. Like you're silly. You're a goob. A goober? No, is that not Ed? Is that a word for you? Did I make? That's not my family thing. Is it?
It's a word.
Oh, good, cool. Woo!
It's
You
maybe
would
a
not
little
believe
bit
how many times
old school, but
Hey, you would not believe how many times people tell me like that's not a word.
It's like I say biggerer all the time, and people make it biggerer.
Is that 2 ERs? ER. Like
Yeah, biggerer. So like, I yell at people who are giving presentations, or make it biggerer. I've done it to Ed.
Make it bigger. Yes, I'm with you now.
I can't see the code.
I was trying to find the link, and I can't. Am I spelling .NET wrong? To the C# coverage for shut it. Yes, I can spell .NET wrong. So everybody keeps typing when they type it out, like they spell the DOT, but I can't. I'm like, are we spelling it now? What's
okay. It's because that's for hashtags and file systems and projects. So that's why I will do .NET. But if I'm giving it a title of something, I will
yes.
Oh, does it? I didn't know that, Napalm. I will put the N, capital NET.
Yeah, Aztec's right. The same thing with C#, because I see that everywhere, which I get it, like for like naming file systems and things like that. But like whenever you're like on a YouTube video, I still feel like there's some debate on which way to go.
I interchange them. No.
Okay.
I don't. Okay. Well, unless you and I are both out the loop, and Ed's got this
Ed, do you have a
smirk? Like, I know
he lives in that smirk, though. It's hard to tell if it's directed at you or if it's just
my resting smirk face.
It's
like resting sarcasm right here.
Oh, it is. It is.
I'm not going to let them know. I've got to have something over them when I live in Sticksville. You see, so you got to have some knowledge over us, I guess.
Yeah. So Ed, nothing to add to the which one to use, because so far I still have we can interchange them.
That's it. That's
well, obviously if it's not like a file system thing,
What do you use?
Secret
Ed?
decoder ring.
He's not going to tell us, is he? He's keeping it secret.
It's fine. We'll just move right along. Ed is he's like, I can't even with you two today. So I'm trying to find the video that regardless of what's new in C# 10. And something that like I have something that I want Ed to show. So I want to save some time for that. But something I wanted to talk about. And if this is like, hey Alyssa, make this its own episode, totally get that. Like that's fine. But something that came up with C# 10 was the struct record ability. And that just kind of brought up the whole conversation in my mind as I'm learning C# of struct record class, and then it's just like a blur between them. So I didn't know, like I feel like at the end of the day I can just still reach for class, like safely. But I was like, oh, this is a new thing. It's a new cool thing, like I should.
So records in C# are they're semantic sugar, basically. They are a way of defining a class that shortens the amount of code that you have to write to define that class. So in the compiler, it'll actually generate a class behind the scenes, but it does it with some conventions that are kind of predetermined for record types.
Like they're immutable by default, aren't they?
Yeah, they're immutable by default.
Oh, okay.
And then you can override some of that behavior. The more you end up overriding, the closer you become to it just being a basic class. So if you're not looking for the mutability part, then you're probably just going to go ahead and use a class. But since they auto kind of generated this class behind the scenes, people started asking for, well, if I want the same syntax, but I want a struct instead of a record, instead of a class on the output, how can I do that? So they added the record struct.
But is a record struct also immutable? Did you say that?
It can be, because they don't have to be immutable. I think I'm not sure about the struct, but the class record, it by default it's immutable, but you don't have to have it immutable, this has blown my brain as well. So much so that to learn it, I've actually set myself a conference talk just on records, because I'm like, I need to learn this. I need to get it clear in my head, use cases of when it is. And because I just went through it all and I was like, what, why, oh, what, huh?
I think that's something I want to cover next, because like I'm working on the C# console app, is like actually like reaching for these things, and like, because when I think of like immutability, I'm like, oh god, when is this a good thing? Like that's that's super overwhelming. I'm like,
no, not always.
And it's like forever. Okay.
Most of the time, it's a good thing.
Okay.
It's a good default to have, actually. The things, so the reason that, and this is my opinion, the reason that you probably aren't as familiar with using mutable types is because it doesn't lend itself well to user interface, because user interface is generally a state. So you're looking at a state on a screen, and the whole point of what you're doing on the front end is to mutate that state. So you're working with a mutable state most of the time. If you're on the back end, it's probably a good default to have, where you're more concerned over controlling how that state changes in a very rigid way, so you don't accidentally say apply a discount where it doesn't belong, or raise to somebody it doesn't apply to, that sort of thing.
Okay. That makes sense. No, and I you're completely right. Since I'm on the front end, the first time I'd heard of immutability in like just the day-to-day, I think was like whenever like reactive things entered the world of Angular, and then we started using observables, and then it's like, oh wait, all of a sudden like maybe that state like object is immutable. And to me, the best way of understanding immutability was like, okay, so it's like a really difficult way to change something, right? Because it's like you've got the immutable version, but then if you're dealing with state, obviously you have to update that somehow. So it was in my brain, I was like, this is like just like a really roundabout way of, I don't know, having of eventually being able to update state. But I think functional programming typically does better with immutability overall. It's nice to see trying to make it better.
Which is, something we can mess around with when we do our F# stream, Alyssa.
I know. Layla and I are totes. We're gonna, after this stream, we're gonna get organized.
Yes.
We're gonna learn some F#. I don't know. It might be scary. Maybe.
I've tried 3 or 4 times to learn some F# just to make anything work with it, and I'm hoping that with our combined brains that we're gonna knock it out.
Just conquer it. Yeah. Just be like, done.
Yeah, this is it. F# all the things.
Now, so if you use F#, is it similar to C# where you can just be like, this is my F# console app, or no?
You can have, I don't know if you can do, I assume you can do console apps in it, but you can have F# files inside the same projects as C#. So they're completely, because they all sit under .NET, you can just mix and match. Whether you'd want to do that is another thing, but it does mean that you can use like the NuGet packages and the APIs that are available for C#. You can use an F# as far as I'm aware. But
Aztec said, looking forward to a use case for F#. And Napalm said, ditto. It blows my brain every time, Layla. So. Hey, Sharma. Welcome to the stream. We're covering .NET Conf coverage. This is our after party. It's kind of like a watch party, but we're not watching it live right now, so it's a little awkward. But
and it's well after the conference as well.
I know. The dates didn't line up, everyone. Calm down. So Ed, would you mind talking a little bit about Blazor Hybrid?
So Blazor Hybrid's really cool. This is something that I'm going to be investing a major amount of my time in next year. So Blazor gives us the ability to write web applications with .NET without much JavaScript. Usually we don't need it at all. So that's always a nice have. It comes with a couple different hosting flavors. So we can write Blazor that runs completely on the server. This uses a WebSocket over WebAssembly to do the changes in updates in the UI. There's also the WebAssembly version that runs on the client, and this does all of the updates through WebAssembly on the UI. It runs an entire .NET, or it downloads an entire .NET framework to do these operations. So it's a little bit heavy, comparatively speaking, for some client-side work. But that trade-off is we don't have to write JavaScript anymore. So there's a lot of benefit there. So the other option here is Maui. And Maui is a way of deploying Blazor applications where we not only get the ability to have a web app, but we can also have a desktop app or a mobile app all running off the same HTML, CSS, .NET code base. And when we run it on the client, we're no longer using WebAssembly. So we get a huge performance boost if we're running it as a desktop app versus if we're running it in the browser. So if we have something that's really processor intensive, maybe like a stock market, portfolio that's constantly updating bits on the screen, that can be a huge deal for folks. And then it's super portable because you can install it on Android, you can install it on Mac, install it on iOS. It pretty much runs all over the place, except for Linux. That's the only place it doesn't run.
Is that a bad thing? Do we love Linux? What's our?
I think it'll come eventually. Not sure what the reason is, other than they were trying to make sure there wasn't a lot of feature creep. They were trying to maintain the scope to something reasonable, which it ended up not shipping with .NET 6, and it has crept into the second quarter of the year. So it looks like if they would have added Linux to that, it would have been another probably year
even longer.
We saw it released. Yeah. So I think it will come. That's just my opinion. I don't know any inside information on that, but I think it will come. That would end up running on .NET. I think that's still a mono runtime on Linux, but it seems like something they could do. But the native UI bits, I think, are where it's going to be a tough sell. Other than that, being able to deploy to Mac and Windows is pretty huge on its own. So, I mean, you're hitting a huge customer base there. A lot of Linux machines aren't used for your daily, normal consumer tasks. They're generally server installations. There are desktop users on Linux, don't get me wrong, but I think majority of the folks, they're either super users that are using these things for a daily machine. But server infrastructure wise, Linux is pretty dominant there.
I think my brother-in-law will be flattered that you called him a super user. He loves Linux.
If you're running, Linux on a server, you can write a .NET application for it. You're just not going to write a UI application for it. You're going to have something that's like a console app or ASP.NET server running on Linux. I think that's more of a typical solution there. You're not looking for users that are running UI desktop programs on a Linux machine. So I think Linux is fairly well targeted for the type of users that it has. So I think that's, there's still people that are going to want this, but I think it's the two OSs that they hit.
Nick was saying that you were right. He said it was one of the live questions at .NET Conf, so that it will be coming. So based on your explanation, though, because you're saying this Blazor hybrid app is not going to use WebAssembly. In my mind, that means that you have to start a fresh app with the intention of making it a hybrid app. Like you can't be like, squish in Maui to my current Blazor app. Like what's the startup like that for a project?
Experimenting with this morning.
Yeah.
And you can reuse an existing application. So far,
Okay.
the only sticking point I'm having is resolving an HTTP client through a shared library. So as soon as I figure that out, which I know it can't be as hard as I'm making it, I think it'll be pretty easy. I can actually show some of
Yay!
how these apps will look and work. Remember, one of them doesn't quite run yet, so we can kind of
So
see
we
it
should shame
working,
that
but
one.
not. Yes,
Like
we can
this.
absolutely shame that one. I
Also,
was
what's
trying
your
so hard to get it
tea,
working,
Layla?
and it's not doing it.
What was that, Alyssa?
What's your
what
tea?
tea? It's Tulsi.
Oh my god, that's so fancy. What?
Tulsi. Tulsi. Tulsi tea.
Is that like the type of tea or the brand of tea?
It's the type of tea. So I'm not big on other types of tea. I like proper English tea. That comes via India or China, obviously. But black tea that I have with a little splash of milk, and it's boiled water, not microwave water, and I'm very particular about it. The mug is heated prior to making tea, etc., etc. And then I don't like any of these herbal things or the fruit things. No. And then I was trying to be less caffeinated because I'm quite caffeinated generally, and I came across Tulsi tea at the beginning of the year. And it doesn't taste disgusting. It's actually really quite nice. So I drink Tulsi tea. I try to have a couple of cups during the day when I'd normally have a coffee or 6. And yeah, it's I would recommend.
Okay, you're serious about the splash because it doesn't look like you have any milk in it at all.
Oh,
Secondly,
no. There's no milk in this. No milk in this. No.
I thought you said you had heated cup, boiling water.
When I make black tea.
Oh, Tulsi's not black. See,
no. So this is holy basil. I'm looking it up now. It's that's Hindi. Tulsi is Hindi for holy basil, and it might be the most revered medicinal herb on the planet. The plant has violet flowers and blossoms. The green stems sometimes have a purple tinge. Medicinal preparations are made from holy basil's leaves, stems, and the seed of plants.
Ed, did you know about this basil business? I mean, I know you're
no,
with your beverages.
never had that particular blend.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep my opinions to myself because I have a high opinion of how tea should be consumed, and if it has a string and a paper tab on it, it's not going in my cup. So
wait,
okay, yeah, but this isn't black tea. Like this isn't like
wait, because you believe in loose leaf or because you believe in iced sweetened tea like in the
powder?
It needs to be fresh. It needs to be fresh tea if I'm going to drink it. Like
where'd you get you go and pick it from your tea bush in the back garden.
If it's in a little paper thing that you tear open and there's a little bag inside, it's probably stale already. I'm not going to bother with that nonsense. But
yeah, but you have American tea, so
no, I order tea from India directly.
Do you? But how's that fresher? Because that's had to travel.
Because it comes with a pick date. Do you have a pick date on your bag?
Well, this is oh! Look at the snack! Look at the snack! And when I get my tea from Fortnum's, most likely, yes. So I didn't know that we had a fellow tea snob in the house. Rachel and I on the previous stream, we were being tea snobs. We're quite tea snobby. How do you prepare your tea?
Yeah.
Come on then, Ed. Tea snob.
It depends on the tea. So they all have different temperatures.
And how do you do that? What do you have to do your temperatures? The microwave and a thermometer.
I have a kettle.
You do.
I have an electric kettle.
I just want to be like no one, even Americans, are microwaving.
They don't call them Breville.
No one is doing this. That's bizarre. I've never seen a person put a cup of tea or hot water or water in the microwave.
I hear about it all the time on Twitter. Therefore, it must be true.
They don't call them Breville in your neck of the woods. It's sage.
Napalm. I said no one ever. You can't. You're just breaking.
We have Breville. My slow cooker is Breville.
Okay.
I have a Bosch kettle that has different temperature settings, so I can set it to the temperature I would like.
That is so legit.
Bosch is nice.
Yeah, so it's very nice. It's sleek, chrome and black, and I set the temperature to what it because I drink so much coffee, I have dilute instant. I'm not a coffee snob at all, so I'll have instant. I'll have cafetiere.
I mean, you just said the word instant, so we all know that you are not. You don't have to preface that with "I'm not a coffee snob." You say
I'm
the
not
word
a coffee
instant,
snob.
It does it. It does.
In fact, fancy coffee usually tastes disgusting.
You're hurting my heart. It hurts.
You're doing it wrong.
Oh my god.
You're doing it wrong. I'm sorry.
I've been to fancy places where it takes like 10 minutes to get a cup of coffee because they're doing it in this like science experiment. And the thing is, I have to add salt to it because it's so freaking disgusting. Acidic coffee from South America, because I drink it black. And it's just like,
oh girl, I got you. I got you. So many people don't know this. I used to be a barista in college to pay the bills. And I do have dreams of one day retiring and opening a coffee shop and never touching a computer again. So I got you, girl. You will show me the ways of tea and I will open the doors of coffee for you.
Okay.
We'll share it. Maybe we'll make it a stream.
I mean, I like a good cup of coffee, but I don't like any of this acidic stuff that you get from South America. I like it from like India and that sort of region and sort of like East Africa, that kind of tea. I don't like South American that kind of coffee. I don't like South American coffee.
Don't mind me.
Code with Sean, I think you're missing out.
Let's see, where do you get this? You order this tea direct via Amazon. So it's all shipped into the US, stored in some warehouse until some people who think they're tea snobs come along and buy it.
They put the pick date on the label, so you know when it's picked. A few
months ahead. They're lying. Yeah. Am I being extra?
At least it has a date. At least it has a date. I do the same thing with coffee. I'm not going to buy coffee it doesn't have a date on. So, and don't give me the expiration date. That's not what I'm talking about. I want to know when it was roasted. I want to know when it was roasted.
Me and you are the same. I'm right there with you.
If I don't have a roast date, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
Although I don't have a fancy coffee shelf. I have to like pull it out of the cupboard when I.
What if it's like in the jar and I add hot water, like a brew date? Would that do? You know.
Listen,
the little granules dissolve.
My first experience of tea lovers was on this international flight, and it was like God knows when in the morning. It was awful, and I was exhausted because I don't sleep on flights. It can be a 14-hour flight. Alyssa does not sleep on flights. It's just a gift God gave me. And so, I just watch everyone else sleep, and it's really creepy. But she's coming through, and she's like, "Would you like a drink?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, God, coffee." And she goes, "We only have tea." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll take your tea then, I guess." And she gives me this hot cup of tea, and I kid you not, it looked like coffee. Like I'm looking at this and I'm like, that's tea? Like it was so dark. I was like, this is is that normal? Like, is that how everyone drinks black tea? Like it was so dark. No, Layla,
no, that sounds brewed and then it'll be bitter and disgusting. Whoa.
Okay, cool.
Like
cool,
stewed.
Cool.
Do they do Tulsi from your
from your Amazon?
Snoring? Yeah. So Tulsi,
oh my God, that's what Aaron was saying. Kona. Like, is this the same Kona that he's saying? Hawaiian coffee? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the way to get coffee right here. Go to seven coffee roasters. They are in Seattle. Sorry, Layla. And they ship as soon as they roast your coffee. You get it in 2 days. So it is 2 days old when you get it. So, you go to the grocery store, you're getting coffee that's, if you're lucky, 2 months old, if you're lucky.
So I did get
How do you heat the cup, Layla? How are you heating this cup? I got to know.
The cup. Okay, so you boil the kettle of water.
Uh-huh.
And then you pour the hot water into the cup and let it sit for a bit. Then you dispose of that water. And then
you boil 2 waters?
Well, it's only like a little cup. The kettle's big.
Maximum flipping effort.
And then you
Wow.
chuck that bit out. And technically, it should your water should only have
Gotta
been
warm the
boiled
cup.
once. You warm the cup, and then for every day I just use a tea bag because, I don't drink tea every day. I have a couple of cups a week because we don't have any milk in the house, and I only like tea with a little bit of so that's what you shouldn't do is chuck the water back in the kettle, because then you're reboiling it. But that's why I didn't say it, Silicon Orchid, because we're not supposed to do that, even though we do that.
Okay, hang on. You can't ruin water. It's water. Can we just get this straight? Like,
no,
reboiling water. Like, is there actual science to it?
You change the oxygen content of it.
Okay.
So I think that's what happens. So you should have fresh boiled water, not water that's been boiled a few times. And then you put the tea bag in and then add the hot water. But I don't get tea bags that have my tea doesn't have like this on it, that's just a bag in there. And then I do have fancy loose leaf tea that I get from Fortnum's for when I'm feeling extra fancy. And I have milk because I just don't drink tea because I don't like it with cashew milk.
I'm going to try something here.
So Blazer Hybrid, says Napalm.
Aaron was on track with the sun-dried coffee beans. That means it's natural processed. Any natural processed coffee you are going to love. And it sounds like some of the Kona's made that way. And
3 hours later.
Speaking of Hawaii, let's talk about Maui.
Maui! Look at that transition. Ed, how long did it take you to think of that transition?
Make it bigger.
Yeah.
Make it bigger.
I've had some time to think. Let's just say that. All right. So we can zoom here. Let's
mute him, Alyssa. Get rid of him. Kick him off the stream.
I got this. Found the button. Just do the code, but no face. It's perfect.
Maybe we should go to a commercial. Let's go to a commercial break. Do we have a commercial break?
Sick of all that messing and fussing just to share your Blazor demos? Well, fuss no more. Introducing Telerik REPL for Blazor. With Telerik REPL for Blazor, it's the perfect tool to write, run, and share your Blazor snippets and demos. Our easy-to-use online editor makes sharing your cool new demos as simple as writing code and clicking share. And why stop there? Have you ever wanted to share a live Blazor demo directly on your blog? No problem. Just click embed. It's just that easy. Install your favorite NuGet packages and try them live in the browser. You can even access all 95 Telerik UI for Blazor components in a variety of colors your friends will be sure to enjoy. But that's not all. Install the Telerik extension for Visual Studio or VS Code and share directly from your editor. Oh, amazing! Just visit blazorrepl.telerik.com and use it free now.
Do not use or operate Blazor REPL if you're allergic to Blazor REPL or one of its ingredients.
Yeah, Napalm. I'm seriously dying. It was great timing. It was beautiful. Couple of questions. The first time Ed showed me that, I was like, were those sticky notes you were holding up and throwing out?
Alyssa, I know you're younger than me, but you're not that young, my darling.
I thought he was like making a joke about writing Blazor code on sticky notes.
Where'd you even find them, Ed?
They're actually coasters. They're not real.
Oh,
they're not
real. Okay.
These are my coasters. So these are for like coffee. See, they're made of silicone.
They're proper floppy.
Yeah. So they're fake.
And can
they're on my
you
desk
do
always.
Blazor hybrid apps in the REPL or just Blazor apps?
No, that'd be kind of hard because you need to run the
would
Blazor hybrid apps on a mobile device or a desktop. So
okay.
Technically it's Blazor code, so it doesn't really matter, but yeah, it's a long shot answer there. You need to run them somewhere, but let's take a look. I just did file new Maui app in here. So if you go file new project, you'll get a dialog for Maui. So you can do Maui Blazor .NET new .NET Maui Blazor app preview. Notice it still says preview. That's going to last until next year, until the second quarter probably. So I'm still on Visual Studio 2022 preview. I learned the hard way this does not work in Visual Studio 2022. What do they call it now? The mainstream current? That's what they're calling the mainstream one now.
You have to be in preview on.
I believe so.
Which
Yeah,
is
this
the head version.
there was no Maui. What are they called? Workload in the current version. It's only in preview.
Okay.
So when you run that template, you get this. The important bits here are the fact that it has this platforms folder, which we'll dive into. And we have this ugly stuff here called XAML. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's kind of gross.
Why is it ugly? Everyone hates on XAML.
It's here.
I feel like people need to
hate
love
on
on XAML.
I know my XAML peeps are going to be mad at me, but XAML's yucky, guys. Come on. I'm kidding. I'm just teasing you. I have the luxury of working in HTML, and I can joke like that. All right, so we've got the platforms folder, and platforms has Android, iOS, Mac, Catalyst, and Windows, which I can't run these quite yet because my Mac is not connected properly to do this. But as soon as I get with Sam, figure out how to offload the compiler to that machine and run those things locally, I will. And then you could put resources if you need them, etc. But then you have a www root folder. It's like, okay, this is a desktop app, but it has a www root folder, just like Blazor app does. So what's up with that? We've got an index page, which is something that you'd find in a Blazor application. So it's starting to look a little familiar here, right? This gets bootstrapped just like a Blazor application does in your main.razor file. So this is your Blazor router, the entry point to your Blazor application. And that gets kicked off from the Maui program.cs file. So you get your create Maui app pipeline. It creates a builder. It adds your dependencies. We have a Blazor web view where our application actually gets implemented in the page. We'll see that in a second. You can inject services like our weather service here, and then you return the builder. So if we look at, I'm trying to remember which one of these guys it is. That is not the one. There it is, main page.xml. So we have a main page XAML. This is the XAML entry point on the application. And this is our main page here. So our content page, this is written in XAML, and then we have this beautiful nugget here, Blazor web view. And the Blazor web view is where our application, our web view actually gets rendered on the page, on the XAML application, or the Maui application. So we're going to render our app inside of this view. And then right here, we can actually set the component type. In this example, the Blazor hybrid app takes the entire experience over, but we can also target individual components on pages and mix and match XAML with Maui, and they can share state and all sorts of things. So it's really a unique way of blending the HTML development world with the native development world. And it's really cool. So if we run this, right now I've got a Pixel 5 selected here. Go ahead and run this guy. We can take a look at what that actually looks like. And I will give you a heads up, if you try this for the first time and it says deployment failed, sometimes your emulator is still spinning up in the background. So you'll see like the Android screen up, but the app won't pop up. It'll say it failed. It's because the emulator hasn't quite booted up yet. and it times out before the app gets installed and runs on the machine. So just run it again, and you should be fine. So just keep that in mind if you try this on your local machine. The second time, if it doesn't work, you might have to see if there's something that's not installed correctly. But generally, it takes 2 times to get this going. So we've got our basic Hello World Blazor application here. We can count with our counter. We can fetch some data. We've got, and look how responsive that is. It's fast. Running inside an emulator too. So these are written the exact same way we would write them in a Blazor app. So if we look, there's a pages folder, and we have our counter.razor, and this is identical to the counter.razor that you would have in a Blazor server or Blazor WebAssembly application. Same with the forecasts. It's just HTML.
So that's the part I was
and
wondering.
C#.
Once you're inside the Blazor web view, we are in normal Blazor world, or we're like, is it specialized?
Somewhat normal Blazor. So what makes the Blazor experience unique here is we're running on a device, and we have access to the native APIs on that platform now. So if I wanted to do something like access the Android camera, I could do that. I could
I just don't understand what that would look
Android
like,
storage
because
system.
would it be like writing native Android bits just directly inside of your Blazor bits? Is that what it looks like? Or is there
kind of
a Blazor API for Android and a Blazor API for iOS? Like what?
There is a .NET API. So I think it's called Maui Essentials. If I remember correctly, it's Maui Essentials is the it's an API surface that covers multiple devices. So they take all the commonalities out of the desktops and mobile platforms. Yeah,
I have to show you this real quick.
Abstraction over all the platforms were applicable, and then
this is what you get when you look for. I just had to share that real quick. So that's all.
Essentials.
I don't see the camera in there.
That is an awesome. Camera might require some if def for like you might have to have a little, if you're on platform A, use this API versus that one, or you might have different services that you inject on different platforms. I'm not sure how camera in particular works, but I know there are some IO things that are similar on all platforms, like reading and writing files can be abstracted away pretty easy, that type of stuff. So yeah, we can stop this same app here, and we could convert this to, or not convert, but change the runtime to Windows. And then you have to double check this. Sometimes it doesn't work right. Okay, it checked the other box for me. Sometimes those check marks get out of sync and it won't run. But we can run this on the desktop as well. So it's kicking off a build, and we're going to get a desktop app this time. So we just ran it on an emulator, but now we're running it on the Windows desktop.
Cool.
So again, we get the full speed of the desktop as well. It's not being interpreted in WebAssembly. It's actually the full .NET runtime running on Windows, and it's the same exact app that we had before. So we just wrote once and deployed to 2 different devices.
So how does actual deployment work, though? Do you have any weird special steps before you can like put it on the Apple Store? Like,
yeah, any of the stores. You could sideload these things. You can build an installer that will just run it. You run it, like you download it off the web and you run it locally and it installs. And you can also publish to an app store, but that requires whatever app store you're publishing to through to go through all of their requirements. Usually it's you need a certain amount of icons to support different desktop icon.
I just didn't know if you had to convert it or if there was some like transpile process that happens before, other than the App Store's checklist or whatever they have? Like, can this code, like there's nothing magical you have to do?
Not
at the end
so
of the-
much. Let's see if we
Okay.
can spot anything here in the folder. We should have here is, so this is the output for, Epic Zoom. This is the output that you get. So essentially there's an executable or library in each one of these for every platform. So there's going to be an APK in the Android. There's going to be something else in Mac. I don't remember what they use, but there's your APK right there.
Okay.
That's the thing that you submit to the App Store right there.
Nice.
If we go into Windows, this is for 64-bit
So different.
machine.
It's so different than web, mobile. So
There's our Maui
web. We're like,
executables there.
Here's my code. Have my code.
And you can create installers off of this executable as well. I can't remember what they're called on Windows. M6, is that what it is? M6, MSIX. And then I don't know I don't know anything about Mac and Android, and I can't build it yet because Apple's
broken.
walled. No, it's Apple's walled garden.
Oh.
You literally have to have an Apple device to do those builds. I have one. It's just not attached to the build process. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. And I just frankly haven't had time to hook it up. I do have .NET installed on that machine, and I can build apps locally on that machine, but to build them from Windows, which you can do, you have to have a service remote into that machine and do the build and tell you when it's done. That part I haven't set up yet. So there is a way to do it without a Mac, kind of. It's when I say without, I mean like you physically owning it, but you can build without a Mac through a service, which then uses a Mac somewhere.
It's like a build.
I was going to say somebody is using a Mac, right? Like somewhere.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
And again, this is all because Apple wants your money. So that's a very, very Apple thing. Microsoft does something silly with hot reload, and everybody, throws a hissy fit, but Apple does this stuff like on a daily basis and nobody bats an eye. Drives me insane. That's a whole other show, folks. Yeah. I went there.
It's like when my parents or my in-laws get political. You smile and nod, boys. Just smile and nod. Yeah.
Well,
this is going to put me at the old folks table for Thanksgiving, but
yeah, so at least you're at a table, unlike me.
Somebody's got to tell the truth here, though, folks. I mean, come on.
Aaron said that's a whole lot of shows.
So I'm so over the Apple can do no evil thing. It's just like ridiculous. But anyway. So yeah, this is Maui, and I was trying to convert an app that I wrote this morning. I've only worked on it literally like an hour. I got pretty close to having not only the iOS and the Android and desktop, but also the web portion of it as well. So let's go to this. Whoops, I just ran the one that doesn't work. So it'll come up, but minimally come up. I can't get HTTP client working just yet. I think it needs to be in a service layer, which this app didn't come with out of the box. So I'm going to work on that a little bit more. But yeah, that's where it throws an exception. So I can get it to load. I just can't get it to load on a page that has an HTTP request. So if I convert this over, or not convert, I keep saying convert, but just run it as a server application. So I'm going to run this from a web server. And there's our application running from a web server. There we go. And I've got like a sales dashboard, and these all pull from a HTTP request, and I've got some broken images and things. It's still work in process here, but I just added this GitHub page this morning. That's a live view from my GitHub repositories. So it's a live stream from there. And I can run this on the web, and then I can also run it on the desktop. I need to just figure out that HTTP bit, but without getting too far into what's wrong with it, let's look at how it's structured. Same thing as before, we have our Maui app with all the platforms. Then I have a shared Razor class library that has all of my common pages and components and things in it. And then I have a client shell. It's just basically the bootstrapper for the web application. I have a server that has the APIs and stuff to serve up to the app. And then there's some common things that are shared with the server and all of the clients. So there's a lot of projects here, but most of the stuff is in this Razor class library. So I have all my pages, all my layouts, and all of my assets in here. And let me get a proper zoom on that. So this is where 99% of the work for the application takes place. And I can use this in Maui, and I can use it in my client. But I have one place where all of my views are defined.
Did you have to modify your views, or did you just slap that chunk inside of a Razor class library folder? And
I moved everything to a Razor class library folder. None of the views have changed. However, the HTTP calls are getting borked by something. So there's something that needs to change there. So this isn't properly kind of abstracted away from HTTP client. It's using it directly in the views, where instead this should be something like at inject my service, and then the service uses HTTP behind the scenes. I think what the problem is I think there's a different implementation of HTTP client on Maui than there is on Blazor. Even though they have the same exact name, they're not the same library behind the scenes. So I think when it tries to execute in Maui, it's trying to use the abstraction that's built for the web, and something's not going right. So to get the right dependency resolved here, I think I need to take this out of the view and make a service here. And I think I should be good. There's some demos that are out there that already do this on GitHub. And I was
Can you live like that normally in your Blazor apps, or is that not like a thing?
You shouldn't. You shouldn't.
You should not? Why should you not?
No. Why? You can't test anything if you do that.
Oh, okay.
It's almost on. I mean, it's testable, but you have to jump through hoops to do it. It's easier just to move it to a service and then inject a mock service and do it that way. I'm trying to find the repo I was looking at earlier. It is Maui. This is another fun thing with the Maui stuff. There it is. I had the wrong David. All right, so this is an app that you can try. Mileage may vary here. It's been updated months ago. I don't know if they've updated this recently or not, but it's essentially this app here, and it does weather on all of the platforms. So it's got like a live weather view and all kinds of cool stuff in it. But this is structured very much the same way. If you look at the source file, there's actually it looks like they have it all in one here. Not sure how they're running the web portion of it. But yeah, it's definitely just Blazor pages throughout the whole application. So it's another place you can look for some demos. I'm just trying to see what I can accomplish on my own so I can figure out where the pitfalls are. And so far, it's gone pretty smooth. Yeah.
I thank you so much for like showing these. I just feel like people were really excited and then kind of bummed when it was delayed a bit. And so it's so amazing to me that you have something working right now. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's been fun to play with. I had another demo. I can't quite find it. That was prepped for something we were doing last week. And basically you can, with a couple lines of code, which I won't be able to remember off the top of my head or I'd do it, you can come into one of your views and just in a code block say, scan the drives on this machine and list out the drive and all of the available space. And that's something you can't do on Blazor, in the web. There's no disk drive in the browser, but you can list out all the drives with Blazor Hybrid because it has access to the native device, and you can read and write files and all sorts of things with Blazor Hybrid that you can't quite do with the web.
Well, you've made me want to give it a whirl.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's still in preview, so your usage may vary. I had to do a repair install of Visual Studio yesterday to get this to work for some reason. So if you're having trouble, that's like a last-ditch effort, but you may need to repair install if you can't get this up and running. Just keep that in mind. It's still bleeding edge, so it does hurt a little.
But we're thinking middle of next year, hopefully, for a release, like official. Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Q1, Q2, so we'll see.
Very cool.
Oh, I'll have to watch this space.
Well, I appreciate both of you for coming on my show, covering some .NET Conf happenings and also just things in the .NET world. And also apparently starting a really hot topic on beverages in general and the specificity at which we all drink them. So
hot topic, no pun intended, right?
Hot topic.
Yeah, jokes.
Boom, boom.
Oh, God. Yeah, you
Chris just shows up at the last minute.
Yeah. I almost called you something that I'm not allowed to call you on stream because apparently it's inappropriate. So I'll just DM it to you.
You? What? Honestly, Alyssa.
My sisters hate it because I call them it too. So it's fine. It's fine. Oh.
Wow.
It's loving. It's my own definition of it. It's fine. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure my mind's in the total gutter now. Since you can't clear that up, I'm gonna assume the worst. How dare you call somebody that?
Okay,
Wow.
I'm going to clarify because it's not as bad as you're thinking, I'm pretty sure. I was going to call you a hoe because I called my sisters hoes. And so I was like, you hoe, you came in late. Like, it's not that bad, you guys. Like, mind out of the gutter. Horty. Layla and I are planning some F# goodies, so watch out for that. Next week, I will be back with a couple of my Angular friends who have a .NET background to hack away on my C# console app. I'm really, really trying because there's so many things that are coming out in .NET and the ecosystem is just so freaking large. So I'm trying my best to scale back a little bit, get a good understanding of C# and what it's capable of and go from there. So I think it might be a really cool time to do this parody of F# as well with Layla. So I think I've got quite a few days free in December. So I'm going to talk to her after this, but look forward to some F# shenanigans. Maybe we'll make Ed learn it with us. Ed, do you know F#?
I don't actually. I don't.
But we could all do it together.
And then you're not parody or parity?
I heard parody at first, and I was like, "Oh, parody. That's fine. I got it." I was like, "Oh, it is going to be a parody."
It's just a garden tool. Thank you, President. See, President gets
but
it.
we do need to have a session on comparing things in C# to JavaScript. So we'll have to do that.
Yes. Oh my God.
I know both pretty darn well, and I can show you
a sticky note for it because I'm gonna.
If you solved problem X in JavaScript and in C#, how would you do it in both languages? I think
I'm gonna call it C# versus JavaScript or something. Versus.
Can I be the referee?
Oh my God.
I'll be the referee. And that's
okay, but
0 points to JavaScript.
I just wanna throw this out there. My raw JavaScript skills are rusty, so I'm gonna need a little study up time on can any of you do things without frameworks? I don't know, good lord, vanilla JavaScript.
I
who does that?
Vanilla and jQuery. So,
what if I can use jQuery, then maybe I don't know.
jQuery.
I love
Shut up.
jQuery.
Shut up, Ed. Shut up. I only use vanilla. Of course you do. Of course you do. Rust. Oh, I love you, chat. You guys are amazing. But I do. I appreciate you. Ed's going to be on later today. Ed, do you want to tell them about yourself?
Yeah.
And your leaders?
So I probably need to prep for that.
Nah.
John Bristow and I are going to be doing our Eat Sleep Code podcast. We're going to grab our favorite headlines from the week and give our old man opinions on what's happening in the tech world. These are brilliant, by the way. Some of the things that my co-host comes up with are just too much fun. We'll just say that. John's explanation of what a Etsy user.
That was so funny. I saw that clip. It was so funny. I was just like,
find that.
Did you, Layla? That's the best mustache I've ever seen. It's
I know,
beautiful.
isn't it pretty epic? I should stop waxing and let it grow.
Are you streaming tomorrow, soonish? Should people tune in?
This is my third stream today.
Good God, woman.
I'm streaming on Thursday, and I forgot that it was Turkey Day. So I was like, Alyssa, are you free on Thursday to come do F sharp? And she's like, I'm eating turkey or whatever.
There'll be turkey in the belly, but maybe.
Yeah, so I'm like, fine. So I'm going to be I'm pretty annoyed that my favorite Visual Studio templates aren't available for Visual Studio 2022. So like I'm ready to rage quit Visual Studio 2022 already. So I was actually thinking maybe I forked them on GitHub, and I was like, maybe there must be an upgrade path to get 2019 things working on 2022. So I was going to have a go at that and probably fail miserably, flip the table, storm off stage.
Yeah, but watch you do it and save the day for Visual Studio.
I don't know. I'm just not. I downloaded this theme today called Cyberpunk, and it's kind of hurting my eyes.
Oh my God, you found the clip? Are you showing
I did.
I'm trying to. I don't know.
I guess the zoom doesn't really matter here. This is the closest I can get it for some reason. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
This is John explaining to me what Etsy is. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, so Etsy is, obviously a very popular way to do e-commerce. They typically feature like vintage stuff. So if you're one of those hipster persons who likes toques and wearing scarves and suspenders when it's like 80 degrees out, this might be the place for you. I know I'm the worst. This is all I know. Jesus. Dude, this is all I know. I don't know much more about that. I haven't really been Etsy. Yeah, so
yeah, it was. I was cracking up when I heard that. Oh, Brave was saying there is a path to get them back. It's not ideal, far from it. So maybe you will have success on your Thursday stream, Layla.
We'll see, because I need Midnight Spruce Pine and Pine Gap Dark in my life because I don't like the default themes that are coming out of it. I don't like the icons on the dark mode of Visual Studio. I don't like them. They're weird, transparent. They hurt my eyes. They're like you've got neon outlines or something. And then I did the cyberpunk thing, and it's like hurting my brain.
It's not working. It didn't work. The
so
cyberpunk.
What if I told you?
Oh God.
That there is a tool to convert any VS Code theme to Visual Studio 2022.
Yeah, but I don't want a VS Code theme. I want my Visual Studio 2019 theme.
Aaron was asking
it wouldn't mean anything.
Aren't old templates
like this all the time?
Working?
Is she?
Yeah. Zach, I don't know if you want to get this. Somebody's buzzing my phonular device.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know. We'll have to, whenever you're doing the research for the Thursday one, look and see if that's a thing.
I will have a look. Aaron Stanley King, thank you. I'm wonderful all the time, Ed. I'm just pure wonderful.
I like,
but if her teacup
on the spot
is not pre-warmed,
live streams.
If the teacup's not pre-warmed, you best watch out. That's all I'm saying. You come
it's
at
in the
her
wrong
with a
mug-
cold teacup.
Black tea can't be in this size mug. It has to be in this size mug.
Oh,
This
rules.
is a
I
coffee
love
mug.
these rules.
This is a coffee mug.
I have a feeling that silicone has like snap reflexes at ducking things. Just a hunch. It's just a hunch.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
We're rapping and being goofy, so welcome. But I appreciate you guys taking your time. Check out Layla's stream on Thursday. Layla's over here. That's not Layla. And Ed's stream this afternoon or in a couple hours.
And tomorrow.
Lots of
and
fun.
tomorrow. We're going to talk about
tomorrow.
accessibility.
That's right, with Chris
components in Blazor.
DeMars. I forgot he's coming on the show. The goofer. Well,
see, now you're
Silicone
using it rather than
Orchid.
Goober.
How many doors have you run into? I'm just curious.
Me? Like, do walls count or just doors? Like,
I'm gonna stop
have like
before I get in trouble.
head on, like, just bashed so many walls in my life. It's not a good thing.
That joke went over Alyssa's head, obviously.
I
but,
know.
It's fine.
I'll fill her in
He's
later.
he's being a pain. He's just being a pain.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going into personal door wall injury story time.
It's fine,
now.
Alyssa. I take racing lines through doorways, so that's like, and I don't walk around corners very well, so it's like I'm always bruised. My foot is being attacked again.
You gotta love it.
Here.
You gotta love it. At least yours wake up. I think mine sleeps about 23 hours a day. So
yeah, well, this one is now like attacking my foot, scratching it, biting it.
Standard. Yeah.
Dogs, dogs, not feral children or things like that. You know,
feral children under our desks. Oh God. Okay. Well, I love you all. Have an amazing rest of the day, and we'll see you next time. That's a wrap. Bye.